Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Smart Stack. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom, and joined with me, Massimo. How you doing?
Great. Yeah. Doing
Don't tell
well.
me, don't tell me how Ferrari's doing, because I don't want it to ruin your mood for the episodes.
Yeah. I'm behind on the race. They raced at 1 a.m. because they're in
Oh, they did.
Japan.
Okay,
So
okay. So
I'm
you
watching
don't
it
know.
today. We'll see. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Staying
All
on
right. All right.
social.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay. That's right. Yeah. It's so hard now to stay away from these things.
I know. And I follow them all. So yeah.
There should be like a setting or something, and if Zuck's listening, which I'm sure he is, that should be like a setting in Instagram where it's like just turn off all posts related to live events today, right? Like something like that. I'm
Yeah, that
trying
would
to,
be a good idea. Yeah.
yeah,
Choose
yeah.
your favorite sports teams or whatever, anything that's tagged. Yeah. Maybe we should. Well, he's not going to listen to us, but it is a good
Maybe we
idea.
make our own Instagram that just does that. That's that's
Yeah.
its
He'll
own
buy us for
feature.
$1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how Instagram started, wasn't it? Just like Facebook, but with filters, and then
Yeah. Basically, it was just filters. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, pretty crazy. Anyways, let's get started here. So first things first, we need to do our scorecard. So we got to think of a better name than scorecards. It sounds like a,
Yeah. We
I
should
don't
make
know,
it
kind of
fun.
lame.
Something with
Yeah,
technology.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
We'll
So
have it
anyways,
next week.
for anyone new listening, we do this every week. So last week we compared the AI chatbots. It was our episode 2, and leading up to that episode, we each filmed an AI chatbot video. So I did Go High Levels Conversation AI and Mass you did chatbot.com. So looking at the stats here, let's start with yours. Analytics, 5 days in, you had 14 views. Pretty good.
Nice. Yeah.
Take it.
Best yet.
Best, yeah, best. Yeah, I think it was single digits last week, so
Yeah.
we're going in the right direction. And then for me, 5 days in, let's just get the right thing. I had 4 views. Jeez, kudos to you. 1-1.
All
So
right.
as
Well,
a
one.
in the running score, yeah, I won the first week. You won the second week, so it's 1-1. Now, I don't want to put this out there, but my video now has 36 views, top one on our channel, but
What's mine at?
14, 14. But mine's been
Oh, but okay.
so I'm
Mine's
trying
only
to
been
do
out
like for
5 days.
like. Yeah,
Okay.
five
Yeah.
day. Yeah. So anyways,
That's something we talked about earlier. We're both going to release it on the same day moving
yeah,
forward, just to kind of make this easier because Tom's doing all this weird stuff right now. Anyways, yeah. Okay.
yeah. I have about 9 days on you. So
Right.
yeah. I think you might catch up there. So anyways, that was a good one. I mean, I think that pretty cool. I think it was one of the first ones, and I think this one is too this week where I think we're really getting excited about some of this stuff. Like the first one we did N8 N bake, those are interesting, but we kind of were used to those tools, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're really diving deep into some new tools, and I think it's
This was definitely out of my normal comfort zone. You'll see it in the video, but it blew my mind. There's some cool stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I had a couple of those moments too where I was filming the video and I was like, oh, and this should and I had to like stop and I was like, holy crap, like it just happened. So we're kind of I guess beating around the bush. Why don't I guess you started last week, so why don't I do mine first
Okay.
and then I'll kick it over to you. So yeah, for the audience, what we did this week is we did an AI basically coder, I guess coding for beginners. Now a bit of background, Mass. We're not engineers, we're not software guys. We've been around software for 10 years, right? We're in the space, but I guess in the world of startups, we'd be what you call non-technical founders, right? So
Yeah.
know it, kind of know the word API and been around it and have talked to developers and make this say, make this do that, but not really ever hands-on keyboard, actually start coding things and making things happen.
I could make a new pick list if there were 3 other pick lists above. Like pick list options, copy paste, change the value.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Hit run, it fails. Oh shoot, I forgot a semicolon. Yeah, something like that. So that's what it is. So we kind of came in with that context. So, not totally just, random off the street who's never been around software trying to do this stuff, but, not kind of spending all day every day in JavaScript or whatever doing this stuff. And so I think we kind of provide a pretty good, I would say, representation of maybe a lot of the people listening, a lot of the business owners who are maybe in the software space, maybe trying to code new things, whether it's internally or externally for customers, and just not knowing where to start. So that's what we did. So what I did, the tool I used was VS Code. I think Visual Studio, right? Is that what the VS is?
I think
So
so.
which is Microsoft's product. I think it's probably the most popular IDE. So IDE is basically what integrated developer environment. Again, that basically just means the place you code, right? So without getting bogged down in the technicals. So I think most developers out there like to really code in VS. And what I did is I added the Copilot extension, right? So Copilot is Microsoft's AI tool. And yeah, so it supercharges your coding in an environment you're already used to the VS Code. So, in my video, I basically did two very basic scripts. One was just like the hello world, which, again, is kind of the starting point if you're doing any software where you're just asking the computer to say hello world. So, hey, you're talking to me. That's pretty cool. And then I did another script where it had to return, and you'll laugh at this mess, where the script had to, I had to give it a number and it had to tell me if it was a prime number or not. I have this weird obsession with,
Yeah.
with prime numbers. Don't get me going on that. So,
Our other job.
yeah, yeah, and I went to school for math and stuff, so it's just let's not even get too deep into it. So, anyways, so those are the two I did, and kind of walk through. First of all, just simple prompt saying, "Hey, I write this code. This is what it needs to do." Boom, 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 it goes. And then what I really explored and what I was just absolutely blown away by, and you'll see it in the video, was just not so much that, because I think for really basic scripts, it can do it pretty well, right? Even ChatGPT, go there, say, write a script that does this for me. That's kind of out of the box. That's, I think, nothing too crazy. But what I was really excited about was more of like the inline features that you could use. So you can tell me if your tool does the same. What I was really excited about was, okay, I was able to do that prompt, but then I was able to highlight a certain area and say, well, first of all, like, why did you do it this way? Explain this to me. Because that's, I think, for me, really an interesting thing. It's the way my mind thinks, at least. I don't know if you did the same thing, right? I kind of have to figure things out myself. And so it's like, what's going on here? And you can just highlight, explain, provides a full explanation.
I
And
actually don't know if mine did that. I didn't
yeah,
try it.
and
I
try
just let
it.
it code and
Yeah, yeah.
trusted it.
Well, I would do that all the time. I still do it with developers on our team. Like, what's going on here? What's this area? And it did it, right. And I was just like, and so it's a great way to learn. Like, I was like, okay, cool, I get it. Like, that's why you did that. Makes a lot of sense. Inline modifications, right? So you could just highlight and say, hey, change this to do this. And what was really cool, and you'll see in the video, is that okay, I made a change up here, right? Okay, change this or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, because I think this was just more me, not the A talking. I think because I made this change up here, I have to make this change below. And when I kind of scroll down to the below, the AI had the AI, I should say, had already auto suggested that. It's like this thing that I was thinking in my head, it was already ahead of me and like had it written for me. I was like, again, that was the moment in the video I was like, and now you need to go down here and do, and like it had already done it for me. So that was just crazy. But in that, I think it was maybe where I put my cursor, this and that. I created an error basically, right? There was like an undefined variable, something like that. And so the last thing I did, which I thought again was pretty cool, and then I'll get your thoughts, was I was trying to start to debug it. I was starting to Google it, and I was just like, wait, like this is the whole point of it. I just highlighted that area that kind of showed the error and just said fix it. Like whatever, I don't even need to know what's going on or this and that. Again, maybe for me personally, I like to know, but for the sake of the code, I did and just said, hey, just fix it. As you could probably guess, it just fixed it. It's perfect. Got it done, and the code is working. So pretty cool. I mean, I did spend a good chunk of the video actually also setting things up. So if anyone's listening saying, okay, I don't even know what VS Code is, we walk through all that. But I think for the sake of this conversation, really wanted to focus on the second half of the video of just, okay, actually using it and getting it going. And like I said, I was blown away more than one time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so yours had probably like a chat window that you could move around. One of the things I really liked with mine, I'm curious if yours had it, where like you could add all kinds of context into the chat window, being like, look at this code on this website or on this GitHub or
Interesting. Yeah.
so it actually had like add context, a little drop down, and you could put all kinds of stuff to give it context as it's coding.
Interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
know if yours had that, but
No, no, it didn't. You could
okay.
access, you could give it context to other code in your code base.
Mm.
So you could be like, hey, look at this thing and pull it in, but not externally. So that's pretty cool. And I guess that's a lot of like coding too, I guess, right? It's just like copy and pasting from different places.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's the 80%. So,
Mhm.
hey, again, let the AI do the 80%. And then maybe you with a Copilot, right? That's another big emphasis. That like, this won't replace you. This is your companion, your Copilot. You could tweak it and do that last 20% specific to your application. But no, that's pretty cool. I didn't have something like that. What it did have, we talked about, is you could choose the model.
Yeah.
So you could do like ChatGPT which is also Microsoft partially owned. 4.0 was the default model. You could do the O3 Mini, which is more the advanced reasoning, but you could also actually, it's in beta, you could bring in Claude. I've heard a lot of good things about Claude, which is Anthropic's AI. Again, not sure what you had with that, but that's the one I actually used. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I was blown away by it. I don't really have a great comparison. I didn't use the ChatGPT one in the video, so I can't really compare, but I mean, the Claude one was pretty cool.
Yeah, the mine definitely had those. So I did Cursor AI,
That's
and
like the big one, right? That I think a lot of people are.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one I had heard about when we started talking about this video. Like I heard about it on a number of podcasts, and very similar to Tom's natural language. You never technically, like in my video, I'm less technical than Tom. I didn't write any code. I didn't highlight any. I didn't try to break it. I didn't try to fix it. But
So
I
explain
did.
what you did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
So number one, I probably should watch yours, but one of the unique differences, I guess, is Cursor is an IDE in itself. Like it's kind of this separate app you
Right.
download. So it was one app that I download. I didn't have to like add an extension into an
Yeah, that's
existing,
what I had
which
to do. I had to do VS Code, and then I'd add the extension
yeah,
for Copilot, and then actually add an extension to write Python. So, anyways, yeah,
yeah.
okay. So
So
that's
I
all I
think
did. Yeah.
Cursor is probably more to the masses. Well, I don't know. I have a feeling a lot of devs would be kind of frustrated having to download a new IDE. I don't know. Like if you've been using VS for 10 years and now you got to go to Cursor, that might suck. But anyways, it was very easy to set up is where I'm going with that. So in my video, I show like basic setup. You have to create some folders to store all the files
Yep.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then what I did, I just kind of really jumped in and I told it, build me a website with a table. Well, I just said, build me a table that I can host on the web, make it 5x5, make some random comparisons between 5 North American cities. And so it made a table with 5 columns. It was like population,
Sure.
stuff like that. And it was nice. It was like a nice little table. And then I actually like opened it in the video and showed everyone just like locally in a browser. And then I said, okay, this table's kind of ugly. Make it blue and make it 3D. When I hover over it, make it move. And so no problem. And like me not knowing how to code, I'm just like accepting all the changes. So in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
HTML, it's like highlighting and probably like yours, and I'm just hitting accept, like I'm not even reading it. And then I relaunched the HTML, and I could hover, and it would like move the table. And I told it to make it blue as well. So I kind of went right into similar to you, but like I did right into like some little coding projects, and that's where I was just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, HTML is probably not the hardest language to do, but just the fact that it could spin that up so quick and
Yeah.
now all you got to do is host that really blew my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of interesting the difference for you. I think the way, yeah, for you, you're not going into like the line level details. Yeah, you just kind of threw something, just said, hey, like just
Yeah.
just do this master prompt, right?
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, you tell me, right? But I
Yeah.
mean,
No, it definitely did. So yeah, that kind of shows how we think differently in general, but
what, me and you? Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
And
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot of guys like both of us, but for the ones that are really not technical, which is more me, it was definitely mind-boggling. And then what I did is started using the context, which is why I was asking if yours had that. And maybe this is unique with Cursor, but in the little context so there's a chat just like yours. I do show in the video, like I do highlight a certain section of the HTML and say, change this one section. I don't want it to say San Francisco anymore. I want it to be
right. You were able to
Toronto.
find San Francisco at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But in the context, when you click the context window, it gives you a number of context items. It's like website, GitHub repository,
yeah. Okay.
image, video. Like it allowed you to have all kinds of stuff. And
What would be a video?
I don't know, I didn't try that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
But
think. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
But what I did try, which I thought was really cool, is an image. And so I screen grabbed an image
Oh,
of
probably the same thing then for the video. But yeah, okay, go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I screen grabbed, it's basically to copy something on the web. And so I screen grabbed an image of a job application. And I uploaded that and said, I want to make an interactive job application with multiple pages based off of this image. Please make me a full application with a database to store the applicants. And I hit go. And I actually, this is where I saw my weakness. I couldn't get it to run because I needed to install all these libraries, JavaScript and all this stuff. However, what I show in the video is what it did. I walked through it and
Just like in the code, like line level details.
so
Yeah,
what it did is
yeah.
it made probably 6 different files. One was the HTML to host the application. The second was each page of the JavaScript, or sorry, Python, I think it was.
Sure.
Each
To
page.
click. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it assembled them. And so it walked me through what it was doing. It showed the page, it showed all the fields it would made, what color they were. And then it said, okay, now I'm going to assemble all the Java or the
What do you
Python.
mean like it's telling you this? Like there's like a little like in the chatbot, it's been like now I'm doing this. Now
Yes.
I'm doing
It would
yeah, I
actually,
see.
like, in
Yeah.
natural language, tell me what it's doing. And then at the bottom of each of the chats, it would say, do you like this? And you hit yes. And then
Yeah.
it adds it to the code. And then it's like, now I'm going to start next page, adds it to the code. And it was funny. I was like, when is this going to end? Because it was like probably 5 minutes of it writing
Yeah.
code. So I had to like pause. And then at the end, it's like, and finally, and so like it had some natural language vibes. And I was like, okay, it's almost done. And then when I hit like run, it's like, oh, you need to install this and go locally in your
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
console. And I'm like, oh boy. So I mean, what I thought was really cool is it could take an image. And I saw other YouTubers that have done this actually
Uh-huh.
do this. It's getting to the point now where you can just point basically and say, make me that.
That
You don't even
yeah.
have to tell it what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one of the things I said was like, okay, I can't write code and then I can't launch code. Now I
Yeah.
can write code. I got to figure out how to launch it still, but
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least my problem area is smaller. Now the launching, I'm not saying is easy, but
Yeah.
my problem used to be 2 and now it's 1. And maybe I'm just not smart enough. Maybe it could have launched it if I would have done some prompting. I don't know. I tried. I'm like, could you help me install this Python? And it's like, okay, run this npm install. I'm like, oh God.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, it's one thing that stands out for me in that. So yeah, with the prompt, that's very much like ChatGPT, right? You give a prompt and it has
That
like
was the model
steps.
I was using, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there you go. So that's, that kind of makes sense to me how it's like, one and then two and then three and then, but the other kind of really cool thing, and I didn't try this, and I don't know if it's even possible in the Copilot version that I did, and maybe it is, I don't know, is it created the files for you. So for me in the Python, I think it's obviously a little bit more basic what I did, but I would just be like, hey, I would make the file, and then I said, hey, do something here.
Okay.
And then, but it sounds like for you, it literally made the file.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You'll see in the video, there's like 6 files. It named it with the page names
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's just to your last point then, where it's like, okay, again, that's taking things like, there's really kind of two concepts that are important, right? I think that we talked about it here, which is like the development, which is actually just hands on the keyboard doing it. And then there's the operationalizing it. So DevOps, right? That's what people call it. And I would put creating files in the DevOps folder. I mean, it's probably very basic, but that's part of it, right? How do I actually operationalize this code? Well, I have to have a file and I need to save it somewhere. I need to put it in the context of all the other files that are important. So I guess my point being is that, this is like you said, one of two things. I think that's still where a lot of, if that's the full value chain of development, a lot of what these IDs or these AI IDEs are doing, these coding tools, they're very focused on the development side of things, but they're starting to creep over into those operational side of things. I was looking at Replit. I don't know if you know those guys. I heard of them. They were one I was thinking about doing. I ended up
Oh,
doing
okay.
it. But they'll do the full hosting for you, right? So they'll literally
Mhm.
take the code and then put it on their servers, and then all you need to do is like point your web page to it, and it kind of loads, right? So it does that extra thing. Now, I was actually a little bit concerned by that because I was like, I don't want to be captive to your servers. Like, I want to maybe put it on my server. I want to host whatever my files locally and have it on my GitHub. I don't know. And maybe you could do it. Maybe you could export it. I don't know. But again, as things get easier, these companies aren't all altruistic and that they're just doing it because they love the community. At the end of the day, what they want
It's
to make
money.
money, they want to make you a little bit captive. So
How much was yours?
yeah,
Do you remember the cost of
cost?
yours?
No, no. I
Yeah,
mean,
mine.
I was on the free trial, so I
Oh,
just
okay.
yeah.
It actually kind of surprised me how cheap these were. Like mine, the business plan is $40 a month, and the plan I was trying was 20. It's like
Yeah.
really, I mean, $250 a year to like have a developer kind of is
Yeah,
like,
I know.
so I don't know. It's probably going to get less and less over time too. There's probably free tools out there. I don't know, but it was
Yeah.
relatively inexpensive, is my point.
Yeah,
I
I
think yours
remember
is cheaper when I did a quick search.
probably because it's all in the Microsoft environments. They're
Yeah.
making money on all
And they
the
don't
other
have to
things.
host the IDE and all that, I
Yeah,
guess.
right.
Yeah.
It's local. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's popular. I mean, Cursor, I've been reading this, just pulled up the article, went from 1 to 100 million ARR in 12 months, the fastest SaaS to achieve this.
Jesus.
I mean, you talk about the price, they're still doing okay over there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
price being
wild.
cheap, yeah. The only criticism I've been hearing, I went online kind of doing, I don't know if you saw it, is like as the app gets more complex, it's harder to code, or I guess more prone to errors, I guess. And I think that makes
Hmm.
sense, right? As it gets bigger
Hmm.
and bigger, there's areas where it might just mess up, and at the very least, it gets hard to iterate on, right? To say, okay, this is good, but change this or that, or change if it's a very big app, and you're like, hey, change this little thing from red to blue, it might change a lot more from red to blue. Like it's hard to get very precise like that. I don't know. You had a little bit of a bigger app. I guess you weren't able to fully run it,
No,
but I don't know if you saw the same the
no,
same criticisms at least. I mean, I think for what we did, it's still a little early to
yeah.
criticize that way, but that's
But
at
that
least what
does
I
make
saw.
sense in
Yeah.
theory. I mean, I think Cursor is definitely, and maybe why it grew so fast. I think it's definitely geared towards the guys like me that like don't even have an ID but want to dip their foot in
Right.
coding and be
Yeah.
dangerous. I mean, so I could see how that could happen. When I was reading stuff, like a lot of people were saying like the benefit because it's not on GitHub and some other things,
Oh, really?
you
Okay. It's
can
actually a good thing. Yeah.
yeah, they were like it can edit a whole project very easily because the whole project is in Cursor, whereas sometimes projects
Interesting.
might be in multiple Git repositories and it can only do a limited part of it.
Huh.
So I
But
couldn't even
it's
get my
also going
project to
back to like
launch.
the what I was saying about the replit thing, right? Where it's like, okay, great, it's all there,
Yeah.
right? To your point, hey, for someone like you, it's maybe great, but then now it's a double-edged sword. Now I want to get it on GitHub because all my other code's there or whatever,
Hmm.
and I want version control and all the other things, right? So, I mean, I guess that's interesting. Just and I think again, it's always the trade-off between something like Cursor, quick to use, easy to use, versus something that's more native to all the other apps that you're already using. And usually those ones are a little bit harder to get going. But if you can do that a little extra effort, now you don't have to change your entire infrastructure.
Yeah.
But that's always the case, right? It's not just this tool or type of tool we're talking about. That's always been the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I think these things are, I mean, in general, I'm sure you agree. It's like, I don't know why you would, how do I say this? Like, coding has drastically changed. Like, there's no
Yeah,
need for someone to write lines of HTML anymore. It's a waste of time.
yeah,
And we're all gonna become, if we dip our foot in coding, it's just like talking almost. It's just like you're not gonna
yeah,
need to think anymore. What you are gonna need to think about is what you said, the DevOps, and also just the planning of like where this is gonna go and how it's
yeah,
gonna work. But it for what like this is my first time trying one of these. I think they've been out for a couple of years at least. And I mean ChatGPT's been around and I've dabbled with like writing code in it, but it was really eye
yeah.
opening. I'm like, we're further ahead than I thought. Yeah.
I mean, like all these things, right? I think, whatever, like this has always been the progression where, okay, computers talk in zeros and ones, humans talk in natural language. And since, I don't know, Bill Gates or whatever, it's always been a progression of how do we bridge the gap between human and machine, right? Like, how do you go from this to zeros and ones? Right. And so the zeros and ones started there, and then we did like C++ or whatever language, and then we did JavaScript, and then we did React, and then all these things. This is just the next natural step, right? Where it's like, okay, now we're bridging the gap from language to these coding languages that the computers can then translate to C++, they can translate to this, all the way down to the zeros and ones, right? That's what we're trying to do here. So, I think it's pretty cool. And I think, yeah, like you said, coding's changed. I mean, I think you still need to have an engineer. Yes, I think there's the DevOps side of things. I think that's still there. But I think there's also just the engineering of like, okay, this needs to do this, and I want it to be efficient, do this first and then check this. You're not going to have to sit there and type it, but you need to be able to, your new skill is going to be how do you talk to these things in an effective way, right? Like, is it best just to talk generally like this, or is it to smart to, okay, I have to scroll to this part of the code base, kind of like I did, and said, okay, this area here, this is inefficient. How do we make this better, right? And I don't know the answer, but I think that's going to be an important question over the as these get more and more popular. Is it just like I'm talking to my friend and saying, hey, do this, or do I have to apply a little bit of a layer of context, or like what you said, link it to an image or a GitHub or a website to provide a little bit more fuel? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just in our limited experience, tough to tell.
Yeah, agreed. That's well said. Well, I guess we'll let the numbers see who likes what more. But
Yeah.
this was definitely, honestly, for me, my most fun one yet. I mean, they've all been fun, but I think this one was fun in a different way just because, like, I had no idea we were this far along. We played with Zapier and tools like that for years. And what was our first one? Oh, that was our first one.
Yeah.
The second one was chat. We played with live chat for years, but this I've never played with. And so that was cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Just as a sneak peek, I had uploaded my video for this. It's already on the YouTube video for anyone watching. It's our top video. to date, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so I think it also speaks to, this is a lesson I learned from, I have a podcast in our day job, so to speak, is that, I used to try to, okay, what does the audience want, this and that, but my best episodes or my favorite episodes were the ones where I got excited. And I was like having good kind of like really digging in deep in some of the questions I was asking. So I apply it here, right? We should keep trying to find these things that we're getting excited about. So on that note, I think next week, yeah, one thing we've been hearing more and more about, and I think this is exciting and maybe in a different way, just because we're more data CRM nerds in our day job, is basically AI data cleanup, right? So, okay, yeah, so maybe some people rolled their eyes saying, is that really exciting? But there's a ton of applications with it for sure. And clean data is going to be very important going forward, I think, with all these different tools.
Yeah, that'll be cool. All
So
right.
yeah, I got one in my back pocket. I saw it on Y Combinator, but I'm gonna do some digging too, see if there's some big tools out there, because we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, cool.
Okay, well, episode 3. Wait, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In the books.
In the books.
Love it. All right. Well, for everyone watching and listening, thanks so much. See you next week.
See you guys.